The Joe Rogan Experience.
What are the other things that are of concern to you as a congresswoman that you're seeing not addressed or that are somehow or another still in place when you feel like they should have been eradicated?
There's a long laundry list of issues, and I think you can go through each of the major issues that a lot of folks are concerned about and pick those apart and say, hey, here are the things that we need to address and improve in each of those. But I think the conversation that I hope more people start having is about why aren't these things being fixed or addressed? And that speaks directly to people's unwillingness to actually talk to each other, to stop demonizing each other because you're from the other camp, and actually engage based on our common mission of serving the people of this country. And, that's something I look back to during my time in uniform, serving in the Hawaii Army National Guard. You got diverse people, diverse opinions, diverse ideas, but ultimately, we wear the same flag on our uniform and we are focused singularly on that same purpose and mission. And unfortunately, that's what we're missing a lot of in Congress is the hyper-partisanship, and the political wins too often take precedence over the reason why people in our districts hire us to go and work there. And a lot of that comes from not having a basic level of respect or aloha for each other as people, and instead just saying, hey, it's us against them, pick your label, and that's where the battles are fought. And who suffers as a result? It's the people who are suffering and who are dealing with a lot of the challenges that we've been talking about. So that's something that, I try to bring Hawaii's aloha to Washington, try to bring that through in the work that I'm trying to do on these different issues, in the conversations that we're having. Sometimes it means you talk with people who you disagree with, or you may have different ideas than they have about how you solve these problems. But even if you're able to come together on one thing, then we can start to see problems actually being solved and delivering results.
I don't know, but he made sure I went to the place that they broke you. See, Huntington was designed as the prison. If you raped another inmate, they sent you there. It was the first SHU program in America. It was the first
What is SHU program?
A special housing unit or security housing unit or level 5 supermax, like Pelican Bay. And your punishment was that you weren't allowed to speak in your cell. And if you got caught speaking in your cell, they came in with a nurse, and after they beat you down, she jabbed you in the ass with Thorazine, and they knocked you out for a week, and you lost your mind. So it was horrible. Like I told you, the first 2 years of my sentence, every day I kept my mouth shut. I didn't care what was done around me or not. You weren't allowed to say a goddamn word. And they meant it, man.
You're not allowed to talk to other inmates?
Nothing. I dare you to sing happy birthday to yourself like I did. I paid for that one. They fucked me up, Joe. But I don't care about that. Look, I realized I was in a race. I had to kill off the person that I was. The person that I initially was upon entering prison was a deceitful, lying coward with no fortitude because no self-respect resided within me. And in utter humbleness, I took everything that they did to me, and I paid for every window I broke, everything I stole, every lie I told. And then I started to love myself. I figured I ain't getting nothing out of this but misery, so I'm going out like the dude. I'm going to stand up, and I'm going to speak beautifully on the day they execute me. I'm going to walk to that walk, man. I'm going to do this. I didn't kill that woman, but I damn sure ain't no coward. I'm going to find out everything I can about life, and then I'm going to face my death. I'm going to do it with joie de vivre, man. Like, I had this beautiful, beautiful speech ready for him, too. I was going to lay it out and just be at peace because I realized there was nothing else to do. I couldn't fight. I couldn't argue. It didn't matter because God's in control of my life, and I really believed that I had a choice. Either be a bitter pill and get sucked dry by all the misery around me, or get my shit right and start loving myself.
and then when I'm out of fight camps, because sometimes when you watch tape in fight camp, like it can mess with people's heads. You know, like maybe Cowboy's getting too nervous, and then when it gives him anxiety to watch the fight.
Right.
You know,
Right,
so you need to
right.
have if that's the case, you know, have a coach that's willing that you trust to do that for you.
That's a good point.
You know, because I mean, dude, this fucking sport's a mental mind fuck, man.
Yeah.
You know,
Of
and
course.
whatever works the best for you is what you got to figure out.
Is it better for you to fight someone like Cody that you have all this animosity and beef towards and all this shit talking because you get super hyped up and motivated every day? Or is it better to fight someone who you have a lot of respect for, who is just a good challenge?
I think you got to learn to be the same person for every fight. You know, I think it's like control those emotions. You know, even though
Right.
there was all that coming in, like I'm nervous to fight. You know, like forget all the bullshit. You know, and I had to learn that through my career. I had to learn to take emotion out of it. I mean, even in sparring, still, you know, like Dwayne's always told me, control my emotion, controlled aggression. You know, because you hit me, I want to hit you back. I'm very
Right.
competitive. You
Right.
know? So it's something you have to learn how to control, and I've had to do that throughout my career. And I think everyone has to learn to control, either to let go or to pull back, you know, like really control that emotion, to be the same person every fight, you know, mentally, not the same person every fight, but mentally, like in your own head, the same person, but technically need to be able to switch it up.
That the mental aspect of it is probably the thing that holds more people back than anything. Like we all know of guys that are just monsters in the gym, and for whatever it was when they would go to compete, they just could never be their full self.
Yeah.
TJ does better in the cage
Yeah.
than he does in the gym.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did better in the gym than in the cage. Yeah,
What do
he
you
does the
think it
opposite.
is that makes you do better?
I love it. I don't know. I mean, I've just taught myself to love this shit. Like I don't know. When I get out there, it's just like, I want to be there, you know, like I know everyone's nervous and like they're like, it's the highest highs, but I used to be so nervous that I'd forget like what happened in the fight, you know, but throughout my career, I think after the Mike Easton fights, when I really started to like hone in, or during the Mike Easton fights, when I really started to hone in and have fun and just realize like, fuck this shit, man. Like what's the worst that's going to happen? You're going to get knocked out?
Right.
Go for it.
You know, it's a crazy subject, right? I mean, you and I have known each other since 2012 when I did Meat Eater. You were there filming when I shot my first deer, which is a very important part of my life, man. And then you went on to direct and produce Parts Unknown with our late friend Anthony Bourdain. And we just thought it'd probably be a good thing to come in here and just talk about him.
Yeah, man, and I'm really grateful for it. You know, it's actually, you know, a lot of people have been saying to me like, "Oh, it must be really hard to talk about that. It must really." I actually find it kind of the opposite. Like, I want to talk about him. I want to talk about who he was and what that experience was. You know, so thanks, man.
My pleasure, brother. Did you know him before you guys started working together?
No. I met Tony 10 years ago, and I was called in. He had a DP on his show who, at the last minute, canceled, couldn't go to Egypt. So I got a call like a week before, you know. It's like, do you want to go to Egypt with Anthony Bourdain? I was like, fuck yeah, absolutely.
Right.
You know. And so I met him in Cairo, man. Like, you know, it was
Wow.
kind of like perfect. Yeah.
Holy shit, that's like Indiana Jones
I know.
type shit.
yeah, exactly.
Is that
man.
the episode when you guys ate a camel?
No, we
That
didn't
was
need
a
a
different
camel.
one?
No, but you know, I met him there. You know, we started filming. We were on the streets of Cairo, and like, you know, it's like all of a sudden it's thrown into these kitchens. We're just like, we're eating pigeon. You know, it's like go and cover them cooking pigeon, and you know, I had seen the show like maybe once before, but I knew who he was, and I knew what that adventure was.
Right.
You know, and I was so amped for it. And then there was like this seminal moment on that show where we go out and we go ripping across the desert with the Bedouin and go out and cook a goat in the ground, you know. And so as we're driving out over the desert, we're like, well, we need some shots from car to car, right? And I was like, well, I'll get on the roof, you know. And there's like this for some reason there's a 4-post bed tied to the roof of this Land Rover. And so I get up there and kind of like, you know, latch my arm around it. And these guys take off at, I swear, 80 miles an hour across the desert. I mean,
And you're on a bed?
absolutely, absolutely no regard for the fact that like I'm on the roof, you know, shooting. And when we got there, we got to camp. I survived it. I had this big black and blue where I was holding on to the four-post bed, and I go over and I show Tony, and that was it, man. From that moment on, he was like, I like this guy, and I started going out with him. I started getting invited to do more shows.